What's up, friends? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are doing well and your year has gotten off to a great start. This video is going to be your not so average declutter video. I'm going to be doing this a little bit differently than maybe you've seen declutter videos in the past. Instead of rummaging and going through every single product in my makeup collection, I'm going to first be focusing on what are the products that I ended up getting rid of. I'm going to go through every single product category, show you guys the products I'm getting rid of, let you guys know why, and then I'm also going to be taking you into my beauty collection and showing you what are the things that have replaced those items. What am I keeping? How do I organize them? So if you guys want to get maybe a little bit of inspiration for your own declutter, maybe some makeup organization, and learn about the things that just don't belong in my makeup collection anymore, then keep watching. And if this is your first time here, then welcome, welcome. My name is Sophia, and this is my channel that focuses on all things beauty and luxury. Every single week, I upload new content on new beauty releases. I do a lot of reviews. I do declutter videos like this, favorites videos, tutorials, and I also do some luxury fashion and lifestyle. So if that sounds of interest to you, then you're in the right place, my friend. Hit that subscribe button to join our fam, and you can also click the notification bell to hear about every time I upload a new video. I know a lot of you guys were excited for this video, so if you like this video, if you find it helpful, enjoyable, entertaining, please don't forget to give your girl here a big thumbs up. I would very much appreciate that. And without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, party people, so the way that this video is going to be structured is first I'm going to show you what my makeup collection looks like before. I'm going to take you into my beauty room, sort of point out to you some of the issues I'm having with space, some of the areas that I want to focus on in terms of product declutter. We all have certain areas that we need to focus on. Then I'm going to show you guys category by category the products that I'm getting rid of and why. And then after each section, I will show you the result of the makeup collection. So we're not going to go through every single product. We're going to cut to the chase, let you guys know what I got rid of, and then you guys can see the beautiful end result. If you guys want to skip ahead, because I know a lot of my videos are long, I am going to be putting timestamps down below. So feel free to skip ahead if you like, but if not, I encourage you to watch the whole video. So let's get started. Hey friends, so I'm in my bedroom right now. This is where I store all of my makeup. If you watched my home tour / beauty room tour, then you have seen this before, but the point of this clip is not necessarily to like show you all of my makeup, because this isn't going to be like a traditional declutter video, but I do want to show you just sort of what I'm starting out with so that you guys can kind of have an idea of how much I have in each category and what are the different sections that I'm pruning from. Also, what are the things that I just know right off the bat I'm not gonna touch? So let me show you. Okay, friends, so this right here is my makeup armoire. This is where I have a lot of like my lip products, my brushes, my palettes, and then I'm gonna show you my other drawer in just a second that has a lot of my complexion products, blushes, bronzers, etc. Right here, I've got like all of my Natasha Denona palettes. I really don't have any intention of getting rid of any of the midi palettes. What I am looking into though are some of the smaller palettes, because I don't get as many people like asking me for comparisons and reviews of those. And to be quite honest, I use some of the larger palettes more. Also in the back, I have some of my lesser used palettes like from ColourPop, from Anastasia, etc. Those are definitely on the chopping block. Nothing from Viseart is going to be on the chopping block. Nothing from these sections over here are on the chopping block. You guys will see I've got like all my Tom Ford, I've got my Suku, my Charlotte Tilbury, my Dior, my Chanel, my Guerlain, my Wayne Goss. These are all brands that I cover very heavily on my channel, and so it doesn't really make sense for me to get rid of these, especially like even if I'm not using these all the time. I have kind of like a different relationship with makeup than a lot of other people do. These serve a really good purpose for me, which is to use them in my reviews. Some of the other things that I'm not going to be getting rid of are my Pat McGrath palettes in the back here. Like I'm not going to be getting rid of any of the motherships. I think one of the biggest things I'm going to be purging are all of the lip products. I really need to go through these and just get a sense of what colors I have, what formulas I like, because I think I am gradually moving towards a certain type of formula and certain brand. You guys will also notice I have one thing here of like all of my more favorite types of eyeliners, and then I'll have like a backup one in the back of my lesser favorites. And it's like, why do I have that? Like, I should probably get rid of a lot of these. So we're going to be going through those as well. So these are probably going to be some sections that I definitely focus on, probably even more so than the eyeshadow palettes, because I'm kind of okay having an eyeshadow palette wardrobe, but I'm kind of not okay having this many lip products. So this is the makeup, the other drawer, the other storage area for my makeup that I have. You guys will probably see I've got like highlighters over here. I've got all these blushes right here, and then that goes even further into the back. In addition, I also have all my concealers, my foundations, bronzers, both cream and powder bronzers here. And then I've got all of like my bigger face palettes in the back. You'll notice I've got like my Hourglass ones back there, some blush palettes, etc. So what are the things that I'm going to be sort of paying attention to? I think some of the biggest things are, especially in the back, I need to kind of prune down my liquid and cream highlighters. There's a reason why the powder highlighters are in the front. The other thing that I really need brutally make decisions on are my blushes. It takes up so much space. Once again, I have no problem owning like every single Pat McGrath blush you see here and all these Suku blushes because they're some of my favorite formula. I'm okay with that, but I do need to really cut back on the cream blushes, especially because they expire, and some of these I've had for a very long time. And then moving over here, I think with foundations, I always am really looking at, okay, which are the ones that I am using the most. So not sure if I'm really going to cut this down too much, but I think I'm going to go through and try and figure out, okay, are any of these expired or any of these ones that I'm really not using? With the bronzers, I accumulated a lot of cream bronzers this year. I recently decluttered a lot of the powder bronzers, which you guys see sort of right here, but I do have some cream bronzers that I think I've had for a little bit of a long time, and I'm going to be kind of going through and seeing, you know, which ones do I really not need here, because they are so similar. All right, friends, I hope that little walkthrough was helpful. Now I'm going to talk about the products I'm getting rid of, and we're starting off with mascaras. By the way, I'm just going in the order that I did it when I was organizing. So this is the order my notes are in, no particular order, but we are going to start off with mascaras. The first mascara that I'm getting rid of is this one from Bite Beauty. And part of it is because Bite Beauty is no more, and unfortunately you really can't get this mascara anywhere. Maybe you can somewhere on the internet, but they really aren't producing this. This is one of the last things they launched before they closed their business down. And I actually do think that this is a good mascara, but for the most part, I used it all up, and I think I've just found other mascaras in my collection that last a little bit longer. I really like the ones from Hourglass. I like the Tower 28. I like the Cali Ray. These are the things that I've talked about in my like best makeup of 2022 video. I found a lot of good mascaras this year, so there's really no reason for me to keep this one. The other one that I'm decluttering, which is actually a product I just don't like, and I've only used this a couple of times, it's the Volume du Chanel. This mascara just isn't for me. The biggest reason why I'm not keeping this product is because it's not long lasting. It dries out incredibly fast on my eyelashes and gets very flaky and smudgy. I just have problematic lashes. I don't know what it is, but these types of mascaras really never last on me. I picked this one up because a lot of people like it, and I just wanted to know, for my own information and also because I review a lot of Chanel, what my opinion of this product is. So I think, you know, I've only used this a few times. I might give this away to like my mom or my sister or some family member. Mascaras. Okay, so this is what made the cut. Everything fits in this little thing. We've got the Isamaya right here. We've got the Rare Beauty. We have the Glossier. We've got my Hourglass ones, Victoria Beckham. We've got the Merit, which is also good, the Tower 28, the Chantecaille, and then I've got my Cali Ray in my bathroom in like a little curated thing, but there's room for it. There's room for it. So that is our current curation of mascaras. This is what I'm using instead. The next category are eyeliners. I decluttered quite a few eyeliners, and you are going to see kind of a trend throughout this video. I am decluttering a lot of my ColourPop collection. So the first things I'm getting rid of are these ColourPop liners. A lot of these ended up drying out. Like I went through and swatched a bunch of them, and a lot of them were just dry, which that doesn't happen with my Victoria Beckham or my Chanel. These aren't awful liners, you know, they're a very affordable option, but I purchased like all of these pastel ones. I think I got one of the big kits, and I have found that I really just don't reach for them that much. I'm not doing a lot of pastel looks. I like a nice chocolate brown, a rich like purpley aubergine, a burgundy, a navy. I like those types of sophisticated colors now, so I'm really just not reaching for these that much. This next one breaks my heart because I spent so much money collecting all of these. I just went on a rampage during 2020 when I was in lockdown, and I bought so many shades of these. It's the Marc Jacobs highliners. Now, real quick, friends, I like the matte ones. I don't even know if they still sell these. I heard Marc Jacobs is coming back, but putting that all aside, the shimmer ones dry out so quickly. They swatch well in the beginning. You're like, ooh, this is nice. But then when you actually try to apply them on the eye, they really drag quite a bit. And then a lot of these dried out. And I don't know about you, friends, but a lot of times I'm so fazed by the fact that I spent a lot of money on something that I just don't want to declutter it because it hurts so badly. But this declutter, I was super ruthless. I was like, you know what? I don't care how much I spent for it. I don't care if it's a brand new tube of Volume de Chanel. If I haven't reached for it and if I don't use it, and if it's not absolutely amazing, then it's not going to be staying in my collection. So this one definitely hurts. I think I'm probably just going to throw these all out because a lot of them are dried out and they're kind of old. I don't even think they're worth giving away. The Patrick Ta liners. I know I like Patrick Ta. I don't love everything that he comes out with, but in general, Patrick Ta is a brand that I like. But these liners, they're just not the best. I heard that they're very long lasting, but I will say, friends, they're so long lasting that they're hard to remove. In between the colors, it's kind of hit or miss. Like for example, the brown, pretty good, pretty creamy. Like I said, very hard to get off. This is the Copper Gold. This is the one that came out with the Major Dimensions 2 palette last year. This one is like melted basically. It was kind of stuck to the top. It's just rather messy, and like I said, because they're not the best, because I already have my Chanel ones, because I already have my Victoria Beckham ones, which you guys, you'll see in the clip in a second which ones remain in my collection. Because I have those, I really just have no reason to keep these around. And so once again, it kind of pains me to get rid of these things because they're expensive. There still is quite a lot of product left, but I think from now on, I'm just gonna be careful. I've learned my lesson. I'm not gonna buy any more Patrick Ta eyeliners. The other things I decluttered, which these all went in the trash, were all of my liquid liners that are not the KVD tattoo liner, because I pretty much have been using the KVD tattoo liner for I don't even know how many years now. I tried so many other brands, like different Japanese brush tip ones, like drugstore brands, and I just keep coming back to the KVD tattoo liner. So there's really no reason for me to be keeping all of these liquid eyeliners that I don't reach for. They're just drying up, and a lot of them were colorful as well. Like I was pretty good. I think it was last year, Dior came out with like the colored liquid eyeliners, and I didn't buy any of them because I feel like I've learned my lesson. I really don't use colored liquid liners all that much. If I'm gonna go for a colored liner, I will reach for some from my pencil collection. Also, lastly, friends, I thought that this was funny. I posted this on Instagram. You guys were laughing at me. In one of my recent videos, I discovered the Lancome liquid pencils. They're these really awesome, long-lasting pencils from Lancome. I got them off Sephora for a video. And you know what, friends? I actually had two in my collection. I am a complete clown. I had these. I haven't really used them. Don't be fooled by the fact that this one is a tiny little nub. I'm almost positive that this was just a sample. And it's funny because the color that I purchased from Sephora is almost identical to this one. So I just thought that was hilarious. I am gonna throw these out because they're old, but I do really like this product. I just thought it was hilarious because it's like, I have all this stuff. Sometimes I don't even know what I have. Eyeliners. So I actually got rid of fewer eyeliners than I thought I would because I realized when I was going through them, it wasn't that I liked one cup more than another. I think it was more so I just needed to organize them a little bit better so that I could find them. So I did get rid of some, which you should have just seen. But essentially what I did, I grouped them in sort of like softer, smudgy liners for a certain type of look. And then these eyeliners, which are more of like the long wear ones. So the ones that I really love are the Marc Jacobs, the matte version, okay? I think the one from Cali Ray is really great. I love the Chanel longwear ones. I also really love the Urban Decay 24/7. So good. The Makeup by Mario ones are also excellent. So those are the ones that are staying. And then I also have my KVD liquid liners in here. And then in here, okay, I've got the Victoria Beckham Satin Eye Kajals because those are all smudgy. I've got the Wayne Goss, and then I also have the Makeup Forever. So that's kind of what I ended up with in terms of the eyeliners. All right, now we're getting into the good stuff. We're talking about highlighters, and I was on a mission to declutter a bunch of my balm stick highlighters. I've come to find that I really don't use this style of highlighter all that much. There's a couple that I like, which you guys are going to see in the clip in a second. A lot of these look the same. A lot of them look the same, okay? Like the Pat McGrath one that I have right here, it looks very similar to some other ones that I have. I also have one of the Glossier ones here. I have a second one that I decided to keep. They look very similar, don't really need to keep them. This one looks very similar to this little mini one from Westman Atelier. All of these look exactly the same, maybe a little bit different, but when you get them on the cheeks, they don't look that different, and these expire pretty quickly. I picked up this one from Suku. This is a regret that I picked up from this year. I picked it up because it was in this green color. It's just a clear balm, friends. And then I went and picked up the pink one. I like that one a lot better. I decided to keep that one. These were taking up quite a bit of space, so I decided to get rid of these, and I'm really totally okay with it because, like I said, they look the same as a lot of the ones that I kept. In a similar vein, I'm getting rid of even more balmy types of highlighters. For example, this palette from Danessa Myricks. It has survived so many declutters. Every time I look at it, I think it's so beautiful, and it is beautiful, but this just doesn't really fit with my style of makeup. Danessa is killing it. She's killing it with these palettes. If I were a makeup artist, which is kind of what this palette was designed for, then I would totally use this. I love like the dewy blush palettes that I reviewed for you guys from Danessa Myricks. I did keep those. I enjoy that formula, but I think when it comes to highlighters, I'm just not using these. I also have, this is the Duet Balm. I know a lot of people like these, but this is the same product. It's the same thing. The ones that I'm keeping are more of like the Westman Atelier ones because they're not quite as sticky and balmy. It's still a cream, but it's almost like a cream to powder. And I also really like the one that I picked up this year from Rose Inc. So this type of style I'm also trying to just stay away from and just know myself. In terms of powder highlighters, I really didn't get rid of that many. I'm super happy with my powder highlighters. I really pruned that over like the past year. The only ones that I'm getting rid of are these two that I kept from ColourPop. These aren't bad, but they're just way too similar to other ones that I have. I have every single Dior Forever Couture highlighter, so I really don't need more champagne ones. I skipped the recent one from Natasha Denona. I just skipped the ones from Charlotte Tilbury. I also skipped the ones from Pat McGrath within the past year. So I did buy some highlighters, but the ones that I picked up this year were more special, like the Chanel Rêve de Camellia luminizers, the Chanel Holiday luminizers, the Clé de Peau Holiday luminizer. So you guys kind of get the gist of it. Okay, friends, so this is the highlighter situation now. I still, for the most part, kept all of my powder highlighters. I've got all of my Dior ones nicely organized here. I've got my Melt Cosmetics, Charlotte Tilbury, my Chanel, some more Dior, Clé de Peau. I'm able to finally fit all the powder ones in here, which is great. And then in the back here, what I was able to do was like really narrow down the liquid ones that I like. Most of the time, if I'm using a liquid one, I will use these from Charlotte Tilbury. These are the Glow Light wands. I have every single shade, and if she comes out with more, I'm probably gonna get more. What was also nice is because I got rid of so many of the liquid highlighters, I was able to have room back here to put a lot of like my glowy bases, because even though I don't use a lot of balm highlighters all the time, I do like, you know, like this Chanel Fluid. I like the Auric Glow Lust. I love like this Say glowy serum, etc. I like those types of things. And so now I have room to put those back there. And some of these are my favorite, especially the Chanel and the Auric Glow Lust. So I am going to be reaching back there. They're not going to be forgotten. Next up is blushes. I have way too much blush. I took a look at my entire, you know, makeup drawer, and I realized just how much blush was taking up. And I don't want to not have a lot of blush because I really enjoy it. I did buy quite a few blushes this past year in the powder category, but I still wanted to take a hard look at my blush collection and just remove the things that I don't use that much or things that are sort of expiring. Starting off with the cream category. And I knew that there was one line of blushes that it's probably time to get rid of. And I don't hate these, but it does kill me to say I'm gonna get rid of my Nude Sticks Nudies blushes. I actually think that this is a good product, and you can usually get these on sale in like the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty, like those types of sales. You can get some good deals on these, but these are pretty old, and I've just noticed that I've started to not reach for these quite a bit. They have some really great colors. It's a pretty good value, but I just don't reach for these as much. I tend to reach in general for powder blushes more often. I like my Pat McGrath ones. I love the Gucci ones. I like the Patrick Ta ones. I have so many in my collection that I reach for. These are starting to get a little bit expired. And I think the biggest thing as well that kind of contributed to me choosing these over some other ones that you guys will see in a second is that none of you are really asking me about these. And that's a little bit sad when a product you like, maybe not everybody else is talking about, but because my relationship with makeup is very much geared to what I like and also what you guys like and want to hear about, it really does sort of affect what I choose that needs to go. So unfortunately, these are going to go in the trash. I also notice when I look at these colors, while they are good colors, I have a lot of powder blushes in these exact colors. Like my favorite one is called Beach Babe. It's that really beautiful, like sunburnt kind of reddish brown. It's basically the same thing as the Chanel Brun Russi powder blush. Like it's the same color. I already have that shade. I really enjoy it. It's really similar to one of my Suku melting powder blushes. It's really similar to some of the Pat McGrath blushes. Like I don't need to be buying this color many times over. I have a couple of other little cream blushes from other brands like Rose Inc, etc. that I'm just sort of gravitating to more. I'm also getting rid of these serum blushes. I just never use these. These are from M Cosmetics. I got rid of the ones from ColourPop, I think in my last declutter video. These are beautiful, but they're just like, they're fussy. They take up a lot of room. I bought 4 of them. They're not bad, but you have to be somebody that really likes that sort of dewy, serum-y texture. And like I said earlier, I have those Danessa Myricks dewy cheek palettes. So I kind of am set in that category. And I like that those palettes are really slim. They fit in my vanity. I like to be able to like mix the colors together. Whereas these, they can get a little bit messy. I just really don't reach for them. And I need to be careful not to kind of buy these types of things anymore. I also really like the Chantecaille gel formula blushes. I think those are a really good luxury alternative to these. If you want something that's a little bit more effortless and maybe less, not quite as serum-y and dewy as these. Speaking of Chantecaille, I'm getting rid of this blush. I have not gotten rid of this for a while because I think that the packaging is just so cute. I like the little stingray. I was so excited to purchase this product. This was actually the first Chantecaille product that I ever purchased. But you know what? I don't really think that this product is that good. I've told you guys in my Chantecaille ranking video, while there's a lot of products I like from Chantecaille, I don't think that they do these baked powder products all that well. It's very hard for me to pick up this product. Although it is beautiful, it just doesn't work out for me. Next up, we have more blushes to talk about. Natasha, you need to stop making mini rose blushes. What do we have here? We have the Natasha Rose Cheek Duo. I think I picked this up in the beginning of last year, reviewed it for you guys. This will make a lovely little gift to one of my cousins, someone in my family, maybe even my mom. And then we also have the Bloom Highlighting Blush. These are both beautiful products, but I just don't need this many rose blushes. I often don't really reach for these. I kind of forget about them because once again, I'm reaching for a lot of my favorites that are in my collection. Natasha needs to just make a different colored blush. Like everything is just rose and pink. I really do like the bigger blush palettes that she has that have the 4 different pans with like a cream blush and a highlighter, maybe a regular blush or like a highlighter topper. Those are the things from Natasha Denona that personally I like to play around with. I like to create my cheek, you know, like she does in her videos. These are better for kind of an average consumer that just wants a little blush, and maybe this is, you know, they have 2-3 blushes in their collection and they just want a nice little single. And then lastly, I am going to be getting rid of these Patrick Ta blush singles. I have the shade She's Sincere and also She's Adorable. And these are both very, very neutral blushes. And this is very beautiful. And I almost kept this one until I was swatching it and I realized It's just so similar to a lot of the blushes I have, once again, from like Suku, Pat McGrath, formulas that are a little bit better. But I think also the biggest reason that I'm getting rid of these is because I just reached more for the Patrick Ta blush duos, the cream and powder ones. I have several of those. I have maybe like 6 of those at this point, and I rather just use those. I kind of forget that I have these, and in fact, I don't know if this is true, don't quote me on this, you guys will have to help me figure this out. It kind of seems like Patrick Ta isn't really focusing on this line of blushes anymore. He is focusing on the cream and powder duos because those seem to be the ones that people like, and I also feel like the pigmentation of those is a little bit better than these. Now let's talk about the blushes, because this was the section where I really needed to figure out how to fit everything in. Let me show you the ones that are staying that I'm using instead. I'm not getting rid of any of my Pat McGrath. I love all of them. They're all different, and I'm really familiar with the colors, so it's easy for me to grab. Also, I've got all the Suku ones here. I'm really trying to be more mindful not to buy every single release from Suku. I'm finally able to fit all of my Tom Ford blush duos in here. I bought these last year. I was gonna review all of them. I was gonna do a video like swatching all of them and everything. Never got around to doing it. Never had a spot where I could store these. Finally, I can store these. I was also able to move up my Givenchy Prism Libre blushes, which I never really get to use because they're always kind of towards the back and I want to use those more. Another important thing for me was being able to fit my Gucci blushes in here. So for now, I have them kind of towards the back because these are some of my favorites. I know that I'm gonna reach for them. I was also able to move my 2 NARS palettes. Some of these things need to be labeled, by the way, so I'm gonna label them a little bit later. But I was able to move my 2 NARS palettes up to the front, which is great because I love these. I have the Afterglow and the Orgasm on the Beach palette. Back here, we have the remaining cream blushes that made the cut. So I've got these 2 from Rose Inc, which are very lovely, very wearable. Pretty much most of the shades that Tower 28 make. My 2 Chanel Waterfresh blushes. I have all of the Glossier Cloud Paints. I really do like these, and Glossier is coming to Sephora probably within the next month or so. So I want to keep those. I feel like a lot of people are going to be curious. I've got the Patrick Ta blush duos, and then I've got kind of like my remaining cream blush palettes in the back there. Foundations. I needed to get rid of a couple of foundations. So my strategy here was anything that I don't completely love or is kind of old, I'm getting rid of. Let me show you what I mean. First off is one that I actually really like. I think I will repurchase this maybe sometime this year. It's the Tom Ford foundation stick. I really like this, but goodness, this is old. This is something that I used all the time, especially in the summer when I wanted something more effortless. But then I started collecting so many foundations, I didn't have the opportunity to actually use this up and super enjoy it. And this is expensive. I think this is like $90, or at least it was when I bought it, and I bet it costs even more right now. Another one, which is, it's kind of in a similar vein. It's the La Mer foundation. You can see I used up a bunch of this, but you can also see it's like separating. I really tried to give this a chance and use the rest up. This is not bad. I heard so many good things about this foundation, but I'm not gonna be repurchasing it because even though it's a perfectly good foundation, it's very expensive and it's not holy grail. It's a very nice foundation, but I just don't think it has as much hydration and longevity as I would hope to get from a La Mer foundation. Love the Creme de La Mer. That's my favorite moisturizer. This really doesn't give me as much nourishment as I get from the skincare. So instead I'll spend my money on the skincare and use that as a base for all of my makeup and all of my foundations. These next 2 right here are very similar for me. I've got the Kojendo Aqua foundation, and then I also have the Very Valentino foundation. I heard about these from other influencers who really like them, and they work really well for those YouTubers, but both of these, while they weren't bad, it's kind of the same situation where they just didn't stay as hydrating as I would have hoped. I had a lot of hopes for the Kojendo because it's called the Aqua foundation, but it just doesn't last as well as some of the other ones that are in my collection. For example, you know, maybe the Pat McGrath or the Chantecaille or the Suku ones. That's kind of what I gravitate towards instead. I like that the Very Valentino, it had a little bit of glowiness, but I think that this is just a tad too matte for me. I think instead of this, I would instead use actually the one I'm wearing today, which is the House Labs. That's kind of what I'm going for instead of this. I think it's time for me to get rid of this. Y'all know I don't like this foundation. It does work for me in the summer. If it's only working for me in the summer, it's gonna take me a very long time to use up. Even in the summer, I didn't reach for this all that much. I feel bad because I know a lot of people like this, but the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Foundation just didn't really work out for me. It dries my skin out. I need to get rid of this. I need to make room in my drawer, and I kept this kind of like for review purposes, and it's like, I already reviewed this. I don't need to be talking about it anymore. And then the last foundation that I think I'm getting rid of because I really don't reach for it all that much, friends, is the one from Wayne Goss. I think I'm gonna get rid of this because I think what I've realized is, you know, I stand by what I said in my review, but I don't think I like this style of foundation. It kind of sits on top of my skin. It doesn't really melt into the skin and look super natural for me. I don't really like these types of solid foundations. I do like cream foundations like the Chantecaille and the Suku cream foundation that are in a jar. I don't mind that, but I don't really like the process of kind of smearing this on with a puff. I don't know, I just don't really like that application, and I don't think that this looks that natural on me. Some people absolutely love this. Some people put this in like the best makeup of 2022. So it's not like I don't recommend this. It's just for whatever reason, this doesn't sit super right on my skin. It's not the first thing that I'm going to be keeping. And I feel like most of you understand me at this point and you feel the same way. If it's not absolutely great, if it doesn't bring me joy, if I feel like I'm trying to use it up, then it just doesn't belong in the drawer. Now, all of my foundations and concealers are right here. Something that was important to me is that I wanted to have both my Chantecaille and then there's the Suku right under there. I wanted to have those somewhere that was a little bit more accessible because of the shape of these, I had to have them kind of like in the corner over here. And then now I have basically just what is the best of the best, okay? My favorite foundations. I'll have to do a favorite like top 5 foundation video, but you guys will see here, like I've got my Chantecaille Cushion Foundation. I have the Pat McGrath. I've got more Suku, that's the liquid. I have the Lisa Eldridge. I have some Dior, Chanel Water Fresh Tint, Chanel Le Beige. I've got my 2 Fenty. I've got the Skin Tint and then the hydrating one, which I actually really like. The Chantecaille Skin Tint, the Clé de Peau Radiant Cream Foundation, Cali Ray Skin Tint. So these are all the things that I reach for. I know they're good. They've never really done me wrong for the most part. Next, we have concealers. There's really not that many that I'm getting rid of because I've done a pretty good job pruning them away over the past year or so. The ones that I got this past year, I actually really enjoy and they're totally staying in my collection. The ones that I got that I'm not going to be keeping are, first up, this is kind of a concealer, kind of not, but it is the Fenty Eye Brighteners. This is not a bad product, but I think I touched upon this in another recent video. I just don't reach for these. Oh, it was my Pass or Yes video. In my Pass or Yes video, I explained to you, I really don't use color correctors, mostly because I'm lazy. Like I just don't feel like doing another step in my routine, and it doesn't come very natural to me. And while I do have discoloration under the eyes, and while these do help, it's just an extra step. And I feel like I can instead just use a really bomb concealer like the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Concealer. I like the Giorgio Armani Power Fabric Concealer. All of those are really beautiful and glowy. They do a good job of canceling out the darkness in my under eyes. In fact, I'm wearing the Charlotte Tilbury one today. You can see it's very brightening. So these are very, very redundant, even though this isn't really a bad product from Fenty. The other two that I'm getting rid of are, it's the Dior Backstage one. I told you guys in my recent video where I did like the bestsellers at Sephora that this isn't really my favorite. It's not super hydrating. I think this is better maybe for folks with oilier skin or maybe younger skin. Like I think maybe I'm not young enough for this. This is for like models on the runway. I just don't think there's anything particularly special about it. Instead, when I finish up a couple more concealers, I'll probably pick up the new reformulated Dior Forever concealer. I like that one a lot more than this one. It's just glowier. It's a little bit, I don't know, it's a little bit more refined for my type of skin type. It's obviously not a bad product because it's like the best-selling luxury concealer at Sephora, but for me, it just doesn't work out. And then the other last one that I'm gonna be getting rid of is the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Away Concealer. I remember when this first came out, it's Charlotte, so she was hyping it up, and this was kind of when I was starting to get into Charlotte Tilbury, maybe about 2 years ago. So this is pretty old too. I definitely should get rid of it. But I thought this was going to do everything. I thought this was gonna cure every problem I had with concealer, concealing my under eyes, everything. And it was like just I hate the cap. I can't get the cap off, first off. And then look how disgusting that is. Gross. I don't want that. I used to keep this in my handbag and just kind of use it for like touch-ups around here, and it was good for that. The applicator is just so darn gross. It's so hard to get this out. I did use quite a bit of it, you can tell. I just don't want it. This is going in the bin. And then right here, you guys can see I've got my concealers. I've got like the Too Faced Sculpting Concealer, 3 Uma Beauty concealers in different shades because I love them so much. I've got the Chantecaille stick. I got the Clé de Peau liquid and stick. I have Josie Maran Vibrancy concealer. I've got the LYS concealer, which is really great. The Rose Ink one, which this one is a little bit light on me, but it is a good concealer and I like to use it for certain situations. That's kind of how we're looking, friends. I really do love concealer and foundation. I know that this is a lot. I'm going to be way more mindful this year, I think, about buying more foundations and concealers because this is just so much and I have so many good ones here. Do I really need to be buying a million more of these? I really don't. If I am going to try any, it's probably going to be the NARS Light Reflecting and then probably the Chanel #1. Those are the 2 that are at the top of my list, and maybe the Chanel Sublimage one. That's kind of my thoughts there. Next is bronzers. I knew I needed to get rid of a couple of cream bronzers. The first one I'm getting rid of is actually one that I like, but it's very old. This is the Milk Cream Bronzer, and it is in the shade Baked. I actually really recommend this. I think it's very good, but I have some that are already kind of similar. I think that the NARS Laguna Bronzing Cream is pretty similar to this, for example. I also bought the LYS bronzer stick, so I already have a stick bronzer. This needs to go in the trash, but it is a very nice bronzer. The other cream bronzer that I'm going to be getting rid of, because this was in like a travel size, is the Tarte Sea Breezy bronzer. This actually is great if you're looking for an affordable option to, like a more affordable option to the Milk one, to the NARS one, to a lot of the cream bronzers out on the market. This was a mini that I got. It's a very similar shade to the one from Milk, but the packaging is so cheap and plasticky. This broke off. It's very tiny. It's just too similar to other things. I really don't need to try this. I bought this because some influencer told me it was good and I ran to get it. And at the time, I didn't have as many cream bronzers, so this is going out. Also, another thing that I was influenced to buy is this from Hourglass. This is the Illume Sheer Color Trio, and this comes with a cream bronzer, a blush, and a cream highlighter. This was very hyped up, I feel like. Maybe it was just like the 1 or 2 people I was watching that were hyping this up, and it's not a bad product. It's just I don't really reach for these sort of cream palettes, as you saw from the Danessa Myricks palette that I decluttered. I don't reach for these that often. If I am gonna reach for any, it's gonna be those Danessa Myricks like blush quad things. They're gonna be the little palettes that she comes out with, the Bloom palette, the Love palette, those types of things. I just always kept forgetting that I have this, and I kept keeping it because I was like, oh, this is supposed to be so good. But at the end of the day, it's just a cream bronzer, a coral blush, and then once again, another creamy highlighter, of which I already have a couple that I like from Westman Atelier and Rose Inc, etc. This product, I thought I decluttered already, and then I looked down when I was filming, and I was like, wait a second, what is this doing here? I've got the... Oh, I still have this? And it is the Fenty powder bronzer. This is in the shade Shady Biz. I guess I got rid of the cream bronzers because I don't like the Fenty cream products. There's a lot of Fenty stuff that I'm just kind of gradually decluttering. They don't have bad makeup. It's just, there's not a ton of things from Fenty that I'm like, yes, I love that, holy grail. There's a couple of things that I really like. And then there's things like this bronzer, which this isn't bad by any means. Like, it is a good bronzer, but I think that because in the past year, I've discovered Victoria Beckham Beauty, I've discovered Guerlain, like I've discovered the Wayne Goss bronzer. These are all powder bronzers that I just reach for a lot more. I like the Gucci bronzer as well. So when I look at this, it's just like, you know, it's good, but I rather just kind of save my money up to buy a more luxury formula. I don't want to sound snobby, but I have these other things that I invested in that I really enjoy, and this is just kind of sitting there not getting used. And then over here, we've got the bronzers and a couple of powders, but not very many. I didn't really get rid of any of the new cream bronzers that I bought this year. I still like the NARS Laguna ones. I still like the Say, the Rose Ink, the Chantecaille Gel Bronzer, the Milk Makeup Bionic Cream Bronzer I enjoyed, the Mario ones. I liked those too. With the powder bronzers, I still like the Wayne Goss. I've got the Patrick Ta one right here. That's a duo. I've got the Gucci one here, Tom Ford Terra bronzer, my 3 Guerlain bronzers. I have my 2 Victoria Beckham ones, and that's like pretty much it. I have some contour here with the Charlotte Tilbury contour wand, and I've got my 2 Tom Ford Shade and Illuminates and my 1 from Danessa Myricks. Who was waiting for eyeshadows? I know a lot of you guys are waiting for eyeshadows. This is one of the last categories I decluttered because, I don't know, friends, like, it's hard for me to say goodbye to my eyeshadows. Starting off with the eyeshadow singles category. You guys have heard me say I don't use eyeshadow singles all that much. I pretty much was on an eyeshadow singles no buy / basically low buy for the past 2 years because I just wasn't using them, and every time I do declutter, I get rid of a lot of them. And so I'm gonna show you in a second the clip so you can see the ones that I have left, which are like the cream of the crop, things I like to reach for. But the ones that I'm getting rid of are, number one, anything that's like a cream single. I'll show you guys right here these ones from Tom Ford that everybody says are so good. These are the ones that have like the cream on the bottom, and then they have a little like shadow powder topper on the top. You know, I heard so many good things about these. I think these are really good for like luxury makeup minimalist. Personally, I just don't like the moussey cream eyeshadow. I just really don't use it all that much. I guess I just really love powder eyeshadow most of the time. I also have this one from Charlotte Tilbury, the Eyes to Mesmerize. I know a lot of people love this, but like I said, I just don't reach for it. And I've been very intentional in not purchasing any more of these. And then finally, I'm getting rid of these very overhyped Kaja products. I think that this brand is a bit overpriced. I don't think that their products are all that great. I got 3 of these and they are nice. Like, I kind of kept them around to just use as topper shades because that's basically what they are. They're just really pretty toppers. But pretty much every time that I'm looking for a sparkly topper, I just reach for my Pat McGrath Mothership. So I'm gonna just pick one of the Astral shades out of there. So I already have those types of toppers. So I really don't need to be keeping these around, and I'm not gonna be buying any more of these. I wanna show you guys, I'm also getting rid of all of my ColourPop Super Shock shadows. I got rid of a lot of these in my last declutter. I still didn't touch them. I narrowed it down to like, I narrowed it down to this. Like, this is not even narrowing it down. Like, look how many of these I purchased. I don't use them. Like, they're pretty, but they kind of dry out a little bit. So I'm also getting rid of all of these ColourPop singles. Now, talking about eyeshadow palettes, I'm actually getting rid of quite a few of them. I told you in my beauty resolutions video that I'm gonna try not to buy so many mini palettes, especially the Natasha Denona ones. So I'm gonna be getting rid of all of my Natasha Denona 5-pan palettes. You guys know what I'm talking about. These more like original size ones, because she's kind of phasing these out. The formula of these is not as good as a lot of the other palettes that she has. I need to get out of that mindset of, oh, well, I'm keeping these because I collect these. No, not only do I not use them, but like none of you are asking about them, so they can leave. Now, the one main thing that I like from ColourPop are their eyeshadow palettes. But that being said, I think that I still had way too many. So I did prune down my ColourPop collection even more. You guys will see in a second the ones I decided to keep that are my all-time favorites. But I got rid of a lot of these 9-pans. I kept these around because, I mean, they're nice palettes. They're cute, you know? You got like the main squeeze, you've got the Orange You Glad, you've got the Honey, and these were fun to use at the time. But I don't reach for these quite as much. If I'm gonna go for a colorful look or a monochrome look, I think I have the palettes to do that. I've got the Danessa Myricks palettes, the 2 that have like the multi-chromes in them. I've got some of the Isamaya palettes. I've got a lot of the Viseart ones, and I think I'd rather go for like a Viseart palette, then go for these. I'm also going to be getting rid of a couple of the, what are these, like the 12 pan palettes. I kept around the Kathleen Lights ones for a long time because I did enjoy these, but when I really looked at the color stories, I realized I have a lot of similar things. And then this one as well, it's just an absolutely stunning palette. This one is called Lush Life. But if I'm gonna go for these tones, I'm probably gonna reach for my Danessa Myricks ones that are like crazy multi-chrome and just so beautiful. Like I'm not gonna be reaching for this ColourPop one. These next ones were hard because these have a bit of nostalgia to them for me, and it's my Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes. Not all of them, not getting rid of all of them. You'll see which ones I kept in a second, but these are the couple that I really just don't reach for all that much. While a lot of you, just like me, enjoy Anastasia Beverly Hills, I don't need to reference these palettes in my videos. You guys aren't maybe particularly asking about them, and these also don't make it into a lot of my comparison videos. The first one is the Norvina palette. I think it looks like a lot of things that I have from Charlotte Tilbury, from Viseart. I also have the Riviera palette. I was so excited when I got this. I remember, I think I was like going to visit my family in Greece, and I thought this would be such a pretty palette to bring along, and it is a pretty palette. It's not something that I'm using all that often. And then the last one, this is probably the best one, but once again, I don't need it. It's the Jackie Aina palette. This is a really good one, and it was limited edition, and I was really happy to get it, but I don't reach for this. I think probably because the color story is a little bit all over the place for me, and the colors are a little bit deeper because it was just to sort of suit women of deeper skin tones, and for that reason, it's a little bit more of like a going out palette, more of like a night look palette for me, and that just makes it a little less versatile. So these were hard to get rid of because, yeah, it's just kind of like that collector's mindset of like, well, no, I can't get rid of my Urban Decay Naked palettes. I can't get rid of my Anastasia palettes. I can just have room. If Anastasia comes out with another palette that I really like, I can pick that up. But I'm really not buying anything from ABH unless it really speaks to me like the Nouveau palette did. I'm a lot more choosy in that regard. Last couple here, I've got the Urban Decay Born to Run palette. This is another really good palette that kind of like pains me to get rid of because it's got so many good colors in it. But that being said, I think the reason I don't reach for this as much as I should is because it's a little all over the place. I'll kind of think of the look that I want to create, the mood I'm in, the vibe I want to, you know, do on my face for that day. Then I'll kind of think of a color story. I'll think of a palette that fits that color story. And this palette fits like every color story. So I forget about it. Like I forget that it's there in the back of the drawer. And while there are a lot of really beautiful shades in here, especially I love like the pink, and I love this blue, and I love this sort of warm tone brown. Like there's so many good wearable shades in here. It's just a little bit too all over the place for me. And if I haven't used it, then it's gonna go out. Also, I've got the Sigma Corderosa palette. The Sigma palettes, they really draw my attention because they are pretty beautiful. I really liked, was it the Alice in Wonderland one? That one looked so pretty. They really do come out with good palettes. I just have so much, I have to limit myself. Like Sigma isn't really a brand that I cover on my channel. It's very duplicative to other things in my collection, like Charlotte Tilbury, for example, or Patrick Ta. There's so many good shades in here, but I don't really like the formula here as much as I like Charlotte Tilbury, as much as I like some of those other brands. This just doesn't have the same like payoff that I typically enjoy. If this was maybe the Alice in Wonderland, like a little bit something more unique in my collection rather than like a rosy tone one, I probably would reach for it a lot more. That's not an excuse to buy that palette, but I think that is true. And then the last palettes that I'm getting rid of, friends, are these from Rowan Beauty. I don't know if any of you guys have tried these before. I feel like this brand is a little bit sleepy, but the reason that I'm getting rid of these palettes is essentially because they are cream shadows. They're just potted cream shadows in a pan. They're a little bit hard to work with. They really aren't my favorite. I think that these are for like the one and done kinds of people where you're just taking a little bit, patting it on the eye, and you're done, because it's very hard to pair the different colors within the palette together. And it's also very difficult to pair this with other powder shadows. Like they don't layer well, and they also crease on the eye. And I bought 3 of them. Why did I buy 3 of them? I don't know. People on YouTube said they were so great. I got caught up in the hype, and I literally never use them. So they're out. All right, friends, eyeshadows. Let me show you what we're dealing with here. I popped out a couple things so it can be a little bit easier for you to see this time. This is my remaining ColourPop eyeshadow collection. These are some of my favorite palettes. I love the Wild Nothing palette, the Give It To Me Straight palette. I also love the Limoncello palette. And then I have a couple collectible ones here like the Hocus Pocus and like the Powerpuff Girls and all that kind of stuff. And I'll probably get rid of them eventually. But right now my nostalgia is really speaking to me. I also have a couple of the 9 pans left, really just like the peachy and pink ones. I love this little Star Wars one too. And then I really do like the mega palettes. These have some really like basic shades in them. My Viseart collection remains completely untouched. This is like what I had before. There's a couple missing here because I am going to be kind of making some custom palettes and stuff. You'll see here, this is the tray that had like the Natasha Denona 5 pans. Completely got rid of them. I kept all the minis. I'm not going to get rid of any of them because again, for review and comparison purposes, I like to kind of keep what I have. They are good. But I also have my little Viseart Petite 4s in here. And then I was able to make room for a couple other palettes like my Isamaya one. I've got a Tom Ford one here, the NARS Climax eyeshadow palette, and then I've got the Lisa Eldridge ones back there as well. So all of those are going to go back into the lower shelf. Looking down here, pretty much all of like my Pat McGrath palettes have remained untouched. All of my Tom Ford, Charlotte Tilbury, my Suku, my Chanel, my Dior, my Guerlain, my Wayne Goss, everything that I talked about before remained untouched. I like all these palettes. I like all these brands. And even if there's some, you know, Chanel quads that I don't like as much or some Tom Ford quads that I don't like as much, it's not really the kind of thing I'm going to declutter. I think I'm just going to try and do a good job of not buying every single Dior quid and every single, you know, Tom Ford quad that comes out. I'm going to be more selective. One thing that was really nice is that I used to not be able to fit my Wayne Goss blush and highlighter duos in the drawer, but now that I made room, I can fit those back in the drawer. So now here I have just my eyeshadow palettes, and they weren't getting used because I put them here instead of where my blushes go. That was a huge win. Now this is where my Anastasia palettes used to be. You guys will see the ones I have remaining are the Soft Glam, the Sultry palette, the Modern Renaissance palette. I might get a fresh one of these, not gonna lie, because this is the one that is probably one of the oldest palettes in this entire wardrobe. I also have the Nouveau. I've got the Naked Honey. Great palette, got that for like 50% off. And then I have room now to put in my Danessa Myrix palette, so that is great as well. And then my Natasha Denona like midi and bigger palettes remain untouched. I have the 228 pan ones here just to remind me to use them because so far these are some of like my favorite Natasha Denona palettes ever. And so those are the palettes. Let me show you the eyeshadow singles. Going up here, I have 2 drawers that I've allowed myself for eyeshadow singles. Pretty much everything here are the Tarte chrome paint pots. I've got 2 of these little Chantecaille ones. Those are the only ones I've ever bought. Probably be the only ones I will ever buy. Bodyography, I've got like 2 of those. I've got my Victoria Beckham ones. One of them is on my vanity. I've got the Hourglass one. So I'm pretty much happy with this. In order for me to get more singles like this, it really does have to be a brand that I really like, that I really want to try, and it's probably something that cannot be cream. And then the only other thing that I kind of have allowed myself to have are the Danessa Myrix Color Fix pigments. These are really great. I have a couple of Byredo, I think they're called the Color Sticks. I have a couple of these like little Giorgio Armani ones. So that is what I have for eyeshadows. Are you still with me, friends? Are you still with me on this journey? Okay, I'm having a good time here. I hope you guys are enjoying this video. We've made it to the last section, which was lip products. I knew I needed to do a massive declutter here. I had a lot that needed to go. And this actually isn't all of it. I actually threw out a lot of them because they were old. The first ones that I actually mostly threw out, but I've got a couple here to show you, are actually my Pat McGrath lipsticks. Hold up a second, let me explain. I threw most of them out because most of them were old. I think I bought them a long time ago when I wasn't as good about wearing lipstick. I also got a lot of those like little mini kits of the mini lipsticks. I'm okay with those if they're lip glosses, but I just don't really use the mini lipsticks all that much. They got kind of dried out because they're mini. They just need to go. So I think I'm gonna start fresh when it comes to my Pat McGrath lipsticks. I'm not gonna go crazy. Maybe next time she has a sale, I might replenish a color that I really enjoyed. But other than that, I'm really just keeping like Dream Lover and then like one of the Elson shades, because I've got my perfect nude and my perfect red lip. This is kind of what I'm saying, is like there were things that I liked, but then I bought all this stuff, so then I couldn't enjoy those, and then they went bad. It's like, why do I keep doing this? I know, I'm not trying to be a minimalist. I'm still kind of a maximalist, but I'm just trying to be a little bit smart so I remember what I have. I'm not going through every single lipstick in this bag, by the way. I'm just showing you kind of the highlights, the ones that you care about. I'm also getting rid of, I have a couple of the Patrick Ta lipsticks and also the Fenty Mademoiselle ones. These I like, but they kind of got discontinued, unfortunately. She came out with those new ones. I liked these ones. Both of these products, they are matte lipsticks. They're pretty nice, but what I realized was that the colors and kind of the formula are very similar to a lot of the ones that I have from Lisa Eldridge. And those lipsticks, they're just better. I mean, let's see. Yeah, this is the one that I'm thinking of that I really love. This looks really similar to a lot of like the super saturated lip colors that I got from Lisa Eldridge this year. She really just nails the colors. And so this becomes a little bit redundant for me. In addition, I did get rid of a bunch of ColourPop products, so I won't go through that again. You've seen that with all the other categories. But another thing that I just decided to get rid of because I don't use them as much are all of these old school liquid lipsticks. Liquid lipstick is coming back, and I rather tried those formulas. I have so many red ones. Why do I have this many red liquid lipsticks? Every time I do a red lip, I just go for like Charlotte Tilbury Red Carpet Red, or I go for one of the Lisa Eldridge ones. These are just a little bit of a drier formula, so I was like, you know what? It's time to get rid of these. And lastly, I got rid of any old stuff from MAC and NARS and just other random things. These are kind of like the last bits that I got rid of. I have a lot of ColourPop lip glosses. When it comes to lip glosses, like most of them were ColourPop. That kind of concludes the products that I'm getting rid of. Now let me roll the last clip and you guys can see what my lip products look like now. All right, friends, are you ready for the grand finale? This was hard. So what are we left with here? I really didn't get rid of many of my lip glosses because I really like the ones that I have, and I've done a good job of not really buying that many more. So I still have all of my Pat McGrath lip glosses. I enjoy all those. And then these are kind of all of the extra ones that I have. So we've got like some Lancome, we've got Suku, we've got some Cali Ray, there's some like mini Pat McGrath ones in there. And then up here, I've got all of my kind of liquid lipsticks. So I've got the ones from Chanel, and then I also have the glossy ones from Lancome that I very much enjoy. Here are just kind of like all of the other lip oils and glosses that I like. I've got some Japanese beauty ones in there. I've got my one Dior lip glow oil, some Buxom ones, some of those like, what are they, Maybelline lifter glosses. This drawer right here, I have a lot of my more minimalist glosses, kind of sort of satiny formulas. The Rose Ink, I've got all of my Wayne Goss products. I've got glosses and lipsticks. I have the Merit lightweight lipsticks, the BK Beauty ones, and then this is mostly what is left of my Pat McGrath one, and then I have my favorite nude color over on my vanity, which you guys will see in a second. Down here, I have some of the more high-end bougie brands. So I've got like the Dior lip tints, 2 Suku ones, 2 Chanel ones, 2 of my more like colorful Charlotte Tilbury ones. So ones that I don't reach for as often, like Red Carpet Red. Then up here, I have all of my Fenty things. So I've got the Fenty lip stains and a couple of the Mademoiselle ones, but I really just kept the colors that are very unique, like the navy blue. Here I've got all of my the Fenty Gloss Bombs, excuse me. Why do I have this much? I don't know, guys. They were all the rage. I really don't want to get rid of these though. Like, I like these and I'm okay because they're just chilling in their drawer. I have a lot of lip gloss and I'm really not going to be buying more. And then in here I have all of my Kaleidos lip glaze, which I do enjoy, and some of my Glossier. So this is what we have over here. It's still a lot of lip products, but I think everything here I really, really like. Nothing everything is super old and I kind of know at the top of my head what colors I have from each brand so that these things don't get completely lost. All right, friends, that concludes this very unconventional declutter. I hope you guys like this style. I hope you enjoyed this journey with me. I feel really good about where I am now. I feel like I've got a little bit of room to grow, but I'm gonna be a little bit more intentional about that this year. I like knowing what I have. I feel very grateful for what I have. Now, friends, it is your turn. Sound off in those comments down below. I wanna know, number one, did you like this format? Was it entertaining? Also, how are your declutters going? I know a lot of you guys did declutters. You've sent me some photos. You know, did you get some good tips from looking at my makeup collection on maybe how you can organize some of your things? I would love to know. Let me know all of your thoughts. If you like this video, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up. I would very much appreciate that. Subscribe if you haven't already. And with that, friends, I hope that you are having a fantastic day, and I will see you in my next one. Goodbye.